The sky above New York didn't tear open when Lobo arrived. It simply stopped pretending to care. You're standing on the corner of 42nd and 8th, phone out, filming another Vought-sponsored rescue operation. The kind where A-Train poses with kids while cameras catch his best angle. The night smells like hot dogs and exhaust. The usual symphony of a city that learned to worship gods in capes. Azos. Not thunder, not a jet. Something older and angrier. An engine that sounds like a chainsaw ripping through the fabric of reality itself. Oh. Your phone screen goes white. The streetlights shatter in sequence. Bulbs exploding like grapes under a boot. Above you, the clouds don't part. They burn. A motorcycle tears through the atmosphere, trailing purple fire and sulfur. And the sound it makes is the noise a dying star would scream if stars had throats. It's coming down fast, too fast, directly toward A-Train's perfectly staged photo op. The soup in red doesn't even have time to look up. Lobo's bike, a chrome monstrosity that shouldn't exist outside a fever dream, impacts A-Train at terminal velocity. There's no explosion. No dramatic slow motion, just physics and biology having a conversation that ends with red mist and the sickening crunch of branded bones meeting unstoppable force. The motorcycle skids across the intersection, carving a trench through asphalt like warm butter, finally slamming into a Vought billboard. The irony isn't lost on you. Homelander's perfect smile now has a smoking crater through its teeth. Your hands shake. You're still filming. Everyone's still filming. That's what we do now. We document our own apocalypse. The smoke clears, and you see him. 7 feet of pale muscle and ink-black leather. Tattoos that seem to move in the streetlight. And a face that looks like God tried to make it a man but got bored halfway through and let a shark finish the job. He climbs off the bike, cracks his neck, and lights what you think is a cigar but smells like burning sulfur and regret. His eyes, completely red, no pupils, just burning pits where mercy used to live, scan the crowd. This earth. His voice sounds like gravel being chewed by a garbage disposal. Smells like fragging disappointment and processed cheese. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. A-Train's leg, just his leg, still twitching in $1,000 sneakers, lies 10 feet from what used to be the rest of him. Lobo notices it, nudges it with his boot, then kicks it down a subway entrance. Oops. He grins. His teeth are filed to points. This isn't a superhero. This isn't even a villain. This is something else. Something honest. Behind you, someone screams. Someone else runs. But you keep filming. Because you already know nothing in this world will be the same after tonight. 3 blocks away, in Vought Tower's Emergency Operations Center, alarms are screaming. Ashley Barrett, Senior VP of Hero Management, stares at 14 screens showing the same impossible footage from different angles. Her perfectly styled hair is already coming undone, and she's only been aware of the situation for 90 seconds. What the fuck is that? She whispers. Nobody answers because nobody knows. The screens show Lobo walking. Not running, not posing, just walking down the center of the street while cars veer and crash around him. He's not even looking where he's going. He's reading something, a piece of paper, a contract maybe. Deep Blue, Vaught's AI threat assessment system, is having what can only be described as a digital panic attack. The readout keeps glitching between threat levels, finally settling on a symbol that shouldn't exist in the program. A skull with a question mark. Get Homelander, Ashley says. Now, the technician at the console turns, face pale. "Ma'am?" Homelander is watching. He won't respond. On the penthouse level, Homelander floats 6 inches off the floor, staring through the window at the scene below. His jaw clenches, unclenches. His hands curl into fists so tight, his knuckles crack. He can hear everything. The screams, the sirens, that thing laughing while walking through his city, through his domain. His laser eyes flicker red, then fade, then flicker again. He's done the math in his head 17 times. Every simulation ends the same way. Uncertainty. And Homelander doesn't do uncertainty. For the first time in his perfect manufactured life, he's looking at something he can't immediately categorize as weaker. Maeve appears beside him, bourbon in hand. "You going down there, or you going to float here and brood?" Her voice drips with the kind of exhausted sarcasm that comes from watching gods play pretend for too long. Homelander doesn't answer. He just watches, waiting, calculating. His smile is still perfect. His hands are still steady. But behind those blue eyes, something small and human and terrified is screaming. Back on the street, Lobo has found what he was looking for, a hot dog cart. The vendor, a 60-year-old man named Ahmed, who survived 3 corporate wars and 2 soupy battles, somehow has the presence of mind to hand over a hot dog when a 7-foot space demon approaches his cart. "Keep the change, pal." Lobo drops what looks like a gold coin with a face on it that's screaming. Ahmed doesn't touch it. Smart man. Lobo takes a massive bite, chews thoughtfully, then spits it out. Tastes like compressed mediocrity. "This whole planet like this." He turns to you. "Yes, you still filming, still frozen 3 feet away. Hey, camera guy, what year is this?" Your mouth moves but no sound comes out. He sighs, the kind of sigh that suggests he's had to ask this question on multiple planets. "Let me guess, you got heroes here. Capes and tights and hope speeches." You nod. They real or they corporate? The question hangs in the air like smoke from a gun that's already been fired. Before you can answer, the sky lights up. Not with stars, with spotlights, 7 of them, converging on the intersection. The deep, Maeve, Noir, Starlight, the entire 7 except Homelander. They descend in formation, perfectly choreographed, their entrance scored by the Vought anthem, playing from speakers built into the nearby buildings. It's a show. It's always a show. The deep lands first, trident gleaming, chest puffed out in that special way that screams, "I'm compensating for something." Unidentified entity. You are in violation of. Lobo moves. Not super speed, not teleportation, just movement so efficient and brutal, it doesn't need to be fast. His hand closes around Deep's throat mid-speech, lifts him off the ground, and the last thing the cameras catch before they cut the feed is Deep's eyes going wide, gills fluttering in panic, and Lobo's grin widening. Oh, this is gonna be fun. If you want to see how deep this rabbit hole of corporate gods and honest monsters goes, make sure you're subscribed, because what happens next doesn't just break bones, it breaks illusions. The Bastich has arrived, and the only thing more dangerous than a monster in a world of heroes is a monster in a world of brands. The screaming starts 3 seconds later, but by then, you've already stopped filming. Some things are too real for content. Some truths are too heavy for views. The smoke rises from the intersection, carrying with it the smell of burning merchandise, shattered PR campaigns, and the death of the myth that anyone at all, was actually in control. Lobo takes another bite of his hot dog, grimaces, and tosses it aside. Definitely the worst Earth, he mutters. And somewhere in Fort Tower, in 14 different war rooms and emergency sessions, people in expensive suits are realizing the same thing. You realized 5 minutes ago, the show is over. The real monster just auditioned, and he doesn't need applause. 8:57 p.m. The Deep is still alive when they pull him from the wreckage. Barely. His gills are torn, his trident bent into a pretzel shape that'll make a great meme by morning. Lobo didn't kill him. He dismissed him, tossed him through a Starbucks window like used trash, then turned his attention to the others. Black Noir moves first, silent and efficient, throwing shuriken that would have shredded a normal man. They hit Lobo's chest and simply stop, embedded maybe an inch deep. He looks down at them like someone just spilled coffee on his shirt. Cute. Then he plucks one out, examines it, and flicks it back. The shuriken moves faster than sound, punches through Noir's shoulder, and keeps going until it embeds in a parked Lexus. Noir staggers, doesn't scream, can't scream, but his body language screams for him. This isn't how fights go. Soups don't bleed like this. Not on camera, not in front of civilians. Starlight steps forward, hands already glowing with that familiar golden light. She's trying to be brave. You can see it in her face. The calculation, the training, the desperate need to believe she's actually a hero, and not just a product with a pulse. Stand down. Her voice cracks slightly. We don't want to hurt you. Lobo throws his head back and laughs. It's not a villain laugh. It's genuine, almost friendly. The kind of laugh you'd hear at a bar from someone who just heard the best joke of their life. Sweetheart, I've been vaporized by gods, eaten by black holes, and once got into a drinking contest with death herself. You ain't gonna hurt me. But points for the speech. Real inspiring stuff. Her light flares brighter. She's charging up, pulling electricity from every street lamp and billboard in a 3-block radius. The air crackles. Your hair stands on end. This is it. The moment where the hero shows the villain what real power looks like. She fires. The blast is biblical. Pure concentrated energy that could have leveled a city block, compressed into a beam the width of a telephone pole. It hits Lobo square in the chest with enough force to make the ground buckle beneath him. The light is blinding. The sound is thunder having a seizure. For 5 eternal seconds, Starlight pours everything she has into the attack, her face twisted with effort and desperate hope. Then the light fades. The smoke clears. Lobo is standing in a crater, his jacket smoking slightly. He looks down at the scorch mark.
Bartender, a man named Joe, who's seen some shit but never anything like this, pours another drink with shaking hands. On the house, he manages. Hobo raises the glass to honest work. He downs it, slams the glass, and it cracks. Now, who in this fragging city has the biggest bounty on their head? I got bills to pay and reputations to ruin. Someone in the back, drunk or brave, or both, shouts Homelander. The bar goes silent. Lobo turns, grinning that horrible shark grin. The flying blonde bastard. Yeah, I noticed him watching. He got a price on his head. The drunk nods enthusiastically. Butcher some guy. He's been trying to kill him for years. Lobo's grin widens. Well then, looks like I just found my first client. He stands, drops another screaming coin on the bar, and walks toward the door. The world holds its breath. Somewhere, algorithms are calculating engagement rates on videos of soups bleeding. Somewhere, stock prices are plummeting. Somewhere,
A child is taking down their Homelander poster and wondering who the real monsters are. And somewhere, in the space between what was and what's coming, the city waits. Because when an unstoppable force meets an immovable ego, the collision doesn't just break bones, it breaks worlds. The main man has a target, the symbol has a challenger, and the brand, that perfect, polished, billion-dollar brand, is about to learn what happens when the marketing dies and only the truth remains. Spoiler, the truth has filed teeth and doesn't care about your quarterly earnings. The night is young, the body count is just beginning, and the only question left is whether anyone will survive to tell the story. Homelander descends from Vought Tower like a god, remembering he has worshippers to impress. The spotlights find him instantly, they always do, and his cape billows perfectly in wind that isn't there. He's done this 1,000 times. The entrance, the pose, the moment where everyone stops and remembers why he's America's greatest hero. Except tonight, nobody's cheering. The crowd parts in silence, and it's not awe on their faces, it's anticipation. They're waiting to see if their god can bleed too. He lands in the intersection where Lobo destroyed the Seven, boots touching down on concrete still stained with A-Train's blood. The cameras find him. The world watches, 60 million people streaming live. His smile is perfect. His voice is steady. Citizens of New York, I want you to know, you're safe. This foreign threat will be contained. The words sound hollow, even to him. Somewhere in the crowd, someone laughs, not mocking, worse, pitying. Lobo emerges from the bar, motorcycle keys spinning around one finger. He sees Homelander standing there, posing like he's on a magazine cover, and stops, studies him. The cape, the costume, the desperate need for validation radiating off him like heat. You the blonde pretty boy, everyone's scared of. His voice carries, rough as sandpaper on bone. Homelander's smile doesn't waver. I'm Homelander, and you're leaving, voluntarily or in pieces, your choice. Lobo walks closer, and with each step, Homelander's X-ray vision is screaming contradictions. Bones too dense, cells regenerating faster than he can track, a heartbeat that sounds like a war drum. This isn't a super, this is something else, something his brain can't categorize, and things Homelander can't categorize terrify him. But he can't show that, won't show that, not with the cameras watching, not with his brand on the line. They stand 10 feet apart, hero and anti-hero, god and demon, corporate asset and cosmic mistake. The tension is so thick, you could choke on it. Around them, phones are raised, everyone's filming. This is the moment, the confrontation that'll define everything. Homelander speaks first, voice low enough the cameras can't catch it. I could kill everyone here before you blink. Civilians, cameras, all of them, just to prove a point. Lobo's grin spreads, but you won't, because you need them to love you. And that's the difference between us. Cape, I don't need anything. The words hit Homelander harder than Maeve's punch hit Lobo, because they're true. Because his entire existence is built on need. Need for approval, need for fear, need for something to prove he's real. Lobo just is, complete, whole, utterly, terrifyingly self-sufficient. The realization makes Homelander's chest tight. You think you're tough. Homelander's eyes start to glow red. You think because you pushed around some B-listers, you can stand against me. Lobo doesn't flinch, doesn't blink, just stands there like a monument to violence.
waiting. Prove it, princess. Show me what corporate bread power looks like. That does it. That breaks the last restraint. Homelander's heat vision fires, twin beams of concentrated solar energy that could cut through a battleship. They hit Lobo's chest and he staggers, actually moves backward. 3 inches. The crowd gasps. Maybe Homelander can win. Maybe the hero actually is stronger. The heat vision continues, boring into Lobo's torso, and smoke rises from his jacket. 10 seconds. 20. Homelander pours everything into it. His face twisted with effort and rage and desperate need to be the strongest. Then Lobo reaches up. His hands close around the beams, and he pulls. Homelander's head snaps forward against his will, dragged by his own power. My turn. Lobo's fist moves like a meteor with opinions. It connects with Homelander's perfect jaw, and the sound isn't a punch. It's a building collapsing into its own foundation. Homelander flies backward, not under his own power, but from pure kinetic force, and crashes through a Starbucks, an AT&T store, and finally stops when he hits a reinforced bank vault 3 blocks away. The vault door crumples around him like tin foil. For 5 seconds, silence. Then Homelander emerges, face bleeding from a cut above his eye. Real blood. His blood. The first time in decades, he touches it, stares at his red-stained fingers, and something inside him breaks. Not his body. Something deeper. The invincibility. The myth. The lie he's told himself since they pulled him from that tube as a child. He's not a god. He's just strong. And strong isn't enough anymore. Lobo lights another cigar, completely unbothered by the fact that his chest is still smoking from heat vision. You hit decent for a trust fund cape, but you're holding back, fighting like you're worried about breaking your manicure. He starts walking toward where Homelander stands, each step deliberate. See, I've fought gods, real ones, the kind that don't need focus groups. And you ain't even close. Homelander should fly away, regroup, call for backup. Do Soups even have backup? But his ego won't let him. His entire identity is built on being the strongest, the best, the ultimate. If he runs now, that identity dies. So he charges, full speed, sonic boom. The kind of tackle that's destroyed alien warships in movies. Vought produced. Lobo doesn't dodge. He catches Homelander mid-flight, pivots, and uses his own momentum to slam him into the pavement. So hard the street cracks in a spider web pattern, 30 feet wide. Car alarms scream, windows shatter, and Homelander tastes concrete for the first time in his perfect manufactured life. The fight that follows isn't cinematic. No quips, no heroic music, just brutal, efficient violence. Lobo grabs Homelander's cape, that stupid focus group cape, and uses it to whip him into a mailbox, then a parking meter, then a hot dog cart that explodes in a shower of processed meat and broken dreams. Homelander fights back, heat vision, and super strength, and decades of combat training. He lands hits, real hits. Lobo's nose breaks with a crunch. His ribs crack, but he just laughs, regenerates, keeps coming, because pain is temporary and pride is for people who can die. Every hit Homelander lands is answered with 2 back. Every moment he's winning is actually him losing. The crowd isn't cheering. They're watching their symbol get systematically dismantled by something that doesn't care about symbols. By the end, and there is an end, Homelander is on his knees, costume torn, blood in his perfect hair, and Lobo's boot on his chest, not pressing, just resting there. A reminder, you got 2 choices, Cape. Lobo's voice is almost gentle now, like he's explaining something to a child. 1. You stop pretending you're special and start being real.
Oh!
2. I take a contract on your head, and we do this every day until one of us gets bored. He leans down, and the cameras can't hear what he whispers, but you're close enough. You hear it. You ain't a hero. You're a product that got too big for its box, and products break. He removes his boot, steps back, gives Homelander space to stand, to fly away, to retreat with whatever dignity remains. Homelander doesn't move, can't move, because movement means acknowledging defeat. He and gods don't lose, except he did, except everyone saw, except the brand just died on live television, and no amount of PR can resurrect it. Lobo walks back to his motorcycle, starts the engine, and the sound is thunder judging the world. He looks at the nearest camera, at you, at everyone watching. Contracts open. You want someone humbled, someone dead, someone reminded they're mortal. I'm your bastage. Rates negotiable, satisfaction guaranteed. He revs the engine, and for anyone wondering, your heroes ain't heroes. They're just people who got expensive upgrades and better marketing. Real monsters don't need capes. The motorcycle screams into the night, leaving behind a city processing truth like poison, a symbol kneeling in broken concrete, and the death of an era where people believed someone was actually keeping them safe. In Vought Tower, emergency meetings are becoming panic sessions. In bars and homes across America, parents are turning off televisions and trying to explain to children why their hero is bleeding. And somewhere, in the dark spaces between buildings where truth lives, Butcher is smiling, because the revolution he's wanted for years just got a spokesperson, and that spokesperson doesn't care about martyrdom or optics or anything except honest violence. The brand bled, the god fell, and the world will never be the same. 9:02 p.m. morning comes to New York like a hangover nobody asked for. The sun rises over a city that doesn't trust daylight anymore, illuminating the crater where gods bled and myths died. You haven't slept. Nobody has. Your apartment is 3 blocks from the battlefield.
You felt every impact through your walls, close enough that the smell of burning asphalt still clings to your clothes. The news is a cacophony of contradictions. Fox calls Lobo a terrorist. CNN calls him an unidentified enhanced individual. MSNBC is trying to spin it as a Vought training exercise gone wrong, but their anchors can't keep straight faces. Twitter is calling him the main man, the bastage, the corporate reaper. The footage has been downloaded 800 million times. Every angle, every punch, every moment of Homelander on his knees. You can mute the television, delete the apps, but you can't unsee what you witnessed. The Emperor had no clothes, and everyone finally noticed. Vought Tower is burning, not literally, though that might be easier to contain. The stock price dropped 42% in pre-market trading before exchanges halted transactions. 7 class action lawsuits filed before dawn. 3 senators calling for investigations. Ashley hasn't left the building in 18 hours, hasn't changed clothes, hasn't stopped screaming into phones that keep disconnecting when the person on the other end realizes there's no salvaging this. Stan Edgar sits in his office, doors locked, watching the building fall around him with the detached calm of someone who's already calculating his golden parachute. On his desk, 3 resignation letters from board members, a summons from the Justice Department, and a single black feather. Nobody knows where the feather came from. Nobody's asking. Some omens explain themselves. The Empire isn't crumbling. It already crumbled. What's left is just momentum and denial. In the medical wing, Homelander sits alone in a room designed to contain him if he ever went rogue. Ironic, since he went rogue years ago and everyone just called it heroism. His face is healed. Compound V does that, but the bruises on his ego are permanent. Madeline enters without knocking, because at this point, what's protocol matter? We need you to make a statement. The people need to see you strong, confident, unshaken. He doesn't look at her, just stares at his hands, turning them over like they belong to someone else. He caught my heat vision with his hands. His voice is small, childlike, the voice of the boy in the lab before they made him a god. That's not possible. I'm the strongest. You're what we made you. Madeline interrupts, softer than she's ever spoken. And we made you to fight Soups, not whatever that was. The words should comfort him. They don't. 3 floors down, the 7 are having what can generously be called a meeting, and honestly called a breakdown. A-Train is still in surgery. The deep skills will never work quite right again. Blacknor's arm is in a cast that costs more than a luxury car. Maeve is drinking at 9 in the morning, which would be concerning if anyone cared. Starlight is the only one who looks angry instead of terrified. We need to quit. The words hang in the air like a confession. All of us walk away. This company sent us against something they knew we couldn't beat for ratings. Maeve laughs, bitter and broken. And go where? Do what? We're brands. Remember, we don't exist outside Vorti's ecosystem. We're company assets with pulses. Starlight stands, fists clenched. Then we stop being assets. We tell the truth. All of it. The room goes quiet, because everyone knows what the truth costs, and none of them are sure they're willing to pay it. Across town, Butcher is having the opposite problem. Too many people want to pay. His phone hasn't stopped ringing since Lobo's open contract announcement. Mercenaries, terrorists, foreign governments, everyone who's ever wanted a Soup dead and didn't have the means. The offers are pouring in with numbers that make his head spin. 2 million for Homelander, 5 million for all 7, 10 million for Stan Edgar. Maeve is pacing like a caged animal. We can't do this. We can't just weaponize that thing. Butcher takes a drink, eyes bright with possibilities. Why not? We've been trying to take down Vought for years with pea shooters and evidence that disappears. Now we got a nuclear option with a sense of humor. You really want to pass that up? Frenchie leans forward. But what if we cannot control him? What if he decides we are next? Kimiko signs rapidly. The translation: monsters don't negotiate, they consume. Butcher considers this, then shrugs. Then we point him at bigger monsters and hope he's still hungry. In a penthouse that overlooks the city, a woman you've never seen and whose name doesn't appear in any database is watching the footage for the 100th time. She's called the Analyst by those who know she exists, which is approximately 7 people worldwide. Her job is to find patterns, predict outcomes, assess threats to national security that governments can't officially acknowledge. Right now, she's assessing an extinction event wearing a leather jacket. Her screens show Lobo's trajectory, combat efficiency, regeneration rate. The numbers are terrifying. He's not operating at full capacity, she says to the empty room, or maybe to the listening devices she knows are there. This was him bored, playing, testing limits. She pulls up satellite imagery from his arrival, tracking his entry vector. He came from beyond the solar system, which means he can leave, which means we have one priority, making sure he wants to. She makes 3 calls. None of them go to official channels. When you're dealing with cosmic level threats, official channels are just paperwork that slows down survival. Meanwhile,
Lobo has found accommodations that suit him, an abandoned warehouse in Red Hook that still smells like industrial chemicals and broken dreams. He's set up shop, motorcycle parked by the entrance, a workbench with weapons that make military hardware look like toys, and a communication device that's currently receiving signals from 17 different galaxies. He's sorting through contracts. Mob boss wants rival dead, boring. Dictator wants democracy, activists eliminated. Pass. He flicks through holographic displays. Oh, here's a fun one. Some corporation called Vought wants me to, He reads it twice, laughed. The contract is from Stan Edgar, personally, offering $50 million to make the Lobo problem disappear, to kill himself. Points for creativity, Baldy. He saves it to a folder labeled Hilarious Attempts. Then he finds one that makes him stop. Simple, direct, no corporate doublespeak. Contract, remove all soups from positions of power. Budget, unlimited. Client, anonymous. He leans back, considering this could be fun, or profitable, or both. The city moves around these separate moments like blood around a wound, trying to heal but not knowing if healing's possible. In schools, teachers are struggling to explain why Captain America, Homelander, lost. In offices, people are quietly removing Vought merchandise from desks. In homes, families are having conversations they've avoided for years. What if the heroes were never heroes? What if safety was always an illusion? What if we were just customers in a protection racket with better branding? You're walking through Times Square, past billboards that yesterday showed soups saving the world, and today shows soups getting destroyed. Someone's already spray painted over Homelander's face, "All gods bleed." It's not vandalism, it's documentation. 3 blocks away, a protest is forming, not organized, not planned, just people gathering because gathering feels like doing something when everything else feels helpless. They're not chanting, not holding signs, just standing, witnessing, refusing to pretend yesterday didn't happen. Your phone buzzes, a notification from an unlisted number. You should ignore it. You've learned that mysterious messages never lead anywhere good, but you're already opening it. The message is simple. Want to know where the bastard sleeps? $500. You stare at it. Whoever sent this is selling Lobo's location, which means someone's planning something, which means the violence isn't over, it's just intermission. You don't respond, but you don't delete it either. Because part of you, the part that kept filming when gods bled, wants to see what happens next, wants to witness the moment when the world finally decides if it's going to fight back or kneel. The morning sun climbs higher, indifferent and ancient, lighting a city that's learning an old lesson. Heroes are just people with good marketing, and monsters are just people with honest advertising. The question isn't who's stronger, it's who's willing to admit what they really are. And in a warehouse in Red Hook, a cosmic bounty hunter is discovering Earth's most lucrative export isn't technology or culture, it's hypocrisy. And business is about to boom. The message arrives in Lobo's warehouse at 3 a.m. via a communication method that shouldn't exist on Earth. Quantum entanglement broadcast through a device he built from Vought satellite parts and a broken ATM. The sender is Butcher, though he doesn't know Lobo knows that. Amateur hour encryption. The message is simple. Got a job for you. Real job. The kind that matters. Lobo reads it, smoking a cigar that's probably illegal in 47 states and definitely illegal in this dimension. He's been waiting for this, not from Butcher specifically, but from someone angry enough, desperate enough, stupid enough to think they can aim him like a weapon. He types back with one finger, listening.
This planet might be corporate garbage, but at least the natives are learning. You don't fight the monster, you hire him. Morning breaks over Vault Tower like a judgment nobody's ready to face. The PR team has been working all night on damage control, which is like using a band-aid on a beheading. Their latest strategy, reframe Homelander's loss as a tactical retreat and Lobo as a mentally unstable, enhanced individual requiring psychiatric intervention. Ashley reads the brief and knows it's dead on arrival. You can't spin footage that clear, can't rebrand a beating that thorough. The old playbook, deny, deflect, discredit, doesn't work when 800 million people watched your god bleed in high definition. She's drafting her resignation when her assistant bursts in. "Mom, we have a situation." Ashley laughs. It's the laugh of someone who's been having situations for 18 consecutive hours. What now? Did he declare war on Canada? The assistant's face goes pale. He's taking contracts publicly. There's a website. Ashley pulls it up. The design is brutalist, almost mocking in its simplicity. The main man's contract service. You want it dead? I make it dead. Reasonable rates. Results guaranteed.
The website has a submission form. Ashley scrolls through active listings, her coffee going cold in her hand. Contract 0001. Remove corrupt CEO from power on budget $50K. Status accepted. Contract 0003. Eliminate enhanced individual known as Tech Knight. Budget $100K. Status completed. Contract 0007. Publicly humiliate Lot Executive Board. Budget $2 million. Status pending. Her hands start shaking. This isn't random violence anymore. This is systematic, organized. He's not just a threat. He's a service provider. And in a world where people hate soups more than they fear dying, that's exponentially more dangerous. She picks up the phone to call Stan, then stops. What's she supposed to say? "Sir, the alien has monetized our destruction, and the market is booming." She hangs up, pours more coffee, considers jumping out the window, decides that's too much effort. The tower is burning. She's just watching the flames. In a bar in Brooklyn that's seen 3 ownership changes and 2 mob wars, Butcher sits in a corner booth that smells like old beer and older violence. MM is beside him, tense as a coiled spring. Frenchie is at the bar, pretending to drink while actually scanning exits. Kimiko is somewhere in the shadows. You never see her until she wants you to. The door opens. Everyone in the bar stops breathing. Lobo walks in, and the air pressure changes like a storm just decided to manifest indoors. He's 7 feet of I dare you, wearing a jacket that's somehow still smoking from yesterday's heat vision. He scans the room, finds Butcher, and walks over. Every patron suddenly remembers urgent business elsewhere. Within 30 seconds, the bar is empty, except for the bartender, who's smart enough to stay behind bulletproof glass and poor enough to need whatever tips this generates. "You Butcher." Lobo drops into the booth across from him. The wood creaks ominously. Butcher grins. "That's me. You the bastard who made Homelander cry." Lobo lights a cigar. The bartender opens his mouth to say no smoking, looks at Lobo's face, closes his mouth. "Homelander, at the blonde pretty boy with self-esteem issues. Butcher's grin widens. That's him. America's greatest hero. Vart's golden goose. The man who can do whatever the fuck he wants and never faces consequences. He leans forward. I want you to kill him. The words hang in the air like gun smoke. Tenses. Frenchie stops pretending to drink. Lobo takes a long drag, blows smoke that forms shapes that shouldn't be anatomically possible. How much? Butcher slides a paper across the table. 2 million. Half now, half on completion. Lobo glances at it, then at Butcher. You got $2 million. I got people who got $2 million. People who want Homelander dead as much as I do. Lobo considers this. What'd he do to you? The question is casual, but there's something underneath it. Curiosity, maybe even empathy. Butcher's smile dies. His eyes go somewhere else. Somewhere dark and final. He killed my wife. Raped her, actually. Then she died giving birth to his laser-eyed bastard, who killed her from the inside. The words are matter-of-fact, delivered like a weather report from hell. Vought covered it up, paid off everyone, made her death an accident, made my pain a conspiracy theory. He looks at Lobo dead on. I've spent years trying to kill him with explosives, viruses, blackmail, anything. Nothing works. He's too strong, too protected, too fucking immortal. Lobo nods slowly. And you think I can kill him? It's not a question. I know you can. I watched you break him in 3 minutes. What I need to know is, will you? The bar is silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the sound of MM's jaw clenching. Lobo ashes his cigar on the table, burning a perfect circle into the wood. 2 million's too cheap. We'll make it 5. Butcher blinks. What? You heard me. 12 million. And I don't just kill him. I make it public. I make it hurt. I make sure everyone sees what happens when gods meet gravity. Butcher sits back, calculating. 5 million is impossible. 5 million is insane. 5 million is exactly what this is worth. I need time to get that kind of money. Lobo shrugs, clock's ticking, but I'm patient. For now. He stands, and the booth looks grateful to be relieved of his weight. One more thing, British. You're hiring me to kill a soupy. Fine, but if I find out you're just using me as a weapon in your little crusade, if I find out this is about your ego instead of justice, he leans down, close enough that Butcher can smell sulfur and star death. I'll kill you too, free of charge. He straightens, grins, pleasure doing business. Then he's gone, the door swinging shut behind him, leaving behind the smell of ozone and promises made in bad faith. Nem exhales slowly. We're making a deal with the devil. Butcher lights a cigarette with shaking hands. Yeah, but at least this devil's honest. Across town, in a hospital where soups go when they need discretion, A-Train is awake. Barely. His leg, or what's left of it, is wrapped in bandages that cost more than most surgeries. The doctors say he'll walk again. They don't say he'll run. His entire identity was speed. Fastest man alive. The blur that nobody could catch. Now he's the guy who got turned into paste by something he never saw coming. His agent is already spinning it. Tragic accident. Heroic sacrifice. Inspiring comeback. A-Train isn't listening. He's staring at the ceiling, doing math. How much does Vought pay him per year? How much has he made total? How much is his life worth? The answer to all 3 questions is suddenly not enough. His phone buzzes. Text from an unknown number. Want revenge? I know where he lives. A-Train stares at it. He should delete it. He should report it.
he should remember he's a hero. Instead, he types, "How much?" In Vor Tower, an emergency board meeting is being held behind doors thick enough to survive nuclear war. 12 of the wealthiest, most powerful people in America, and they're all terrified. Stan Edgar stands at the head of the table, calm as always, but you can see the calculations behind his eyes. "Gentlemen, ladies, the situation is simple. We have a hostile entity who's monetized violence against enhanced individuals. He's effectively declared open season on soups, and the market is responding enthusiastically. A board member, old money, and older morals, interrupts. What about Homelander? Isn't he supposed to handle threats?" Stan's smile is surgical. "Homelander is currently handling personal matters. We're exploring alternative solutions." Translation: Homelander is broken and useless. Another board member, younger, tech sector, speaks up. "What if we hire him, pay him more than anyone else, make him exclusive to Vought?" The room goes quiet. It's either brilliant or suicidal. Stan considers it. "Interesting. And how do we control him once he's on payroll?" Nobody has an answer, because you can't control entropy. You can only hope it moves in your direction. Outside the tower, the protests have evolved, no longer just standing. Now they're organizing. Someone's printed flyers. Soups =sign corporate weapons. Lobo =sign honest violence. It's not quite endorsement, not quite condemnation. It's recognition that at least one monster isn't pretending to be a hero. You're in the crowd again, watching history happen in real time. A woman next to you, maybe 30, holding a sign that says "All gods bleed," turns to you. "You were there, right? The first night." You nod. "What was it like?" You think about how to answer, how to explain watching mythology die and reality assert itself with filed teeth and a cigar. "Honest," you finally say. "It was honest." She nods like that makes sense. Maybe it does. In a world built on lies, honesty looks like violence, and violence looks like truth. The crowd grows, the chants start, and somewhere in a warehouse in Red Hook, a cosmic bounty hunter is counting contracts and grinning. Business isn't just good, it's biblical. The contract comes through at dawn, when the city's still deciding whether to wake up or give up. Lobo's device chirps with an incoming message, and the amount makes him pause mid-bite of something that used to be a breakfast burrito, but now looks like a crime scene. Contract 0089. Eliminate Homelander. Budget $5 million. Client William Butcher. Status: Ace accepted. He finishes the burrito in one massive bite, wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, and cracks his knuckles. The sound echoes through the warehouse like bones breaking in advance. Finally, been waiting for Cake Boy to get a price on his head. He pulls up schematics of Vought Tower stolen from their own servers, because their cybersecurity is apparently run by toddlers with clearance issues. Homelander's penthouse, top floor, all glass, perfect for someone who wants everyone to see him. Also perfect for someone who wants everyone to see him fall. Lobo starts preparing, not with anxiety, with anticipation. This is what he does. This is what he's good at. In that same penthouse, Homelander hasn't slept in 36 hours, can't sleep. Every time he closes his eyes, he feels that fist connecting with his jaw, feels himself flying backward without choosing to fly. He's standing at the window, staring at the city that used to worship him, and now he can hear everything. The protests, the jokes, the podcasts dissecting his failure frame by frame. Someone's already made a meme. His face mid-punch captioned corporate synergy. It has 14 million shares. His reflection in the glass shows something he doesn't recognize. Doubt, vulnerability, humanity. He's spent his entire life being more than human. And now he's discovering that more was always just different. And different doesn't mean better. A knock at the door. He doesn't answer. Madeline enters anyway. Because when your golden goose is having an existential crisis, protocol dies. We need to talk about your public appearance schedule. He doesn't turn around. Cancel it. We can't just, I said. Cancel it. His voice cracked.
3 floors below, Starlight is holding a secret meeting with people who shouldn't be in Vought Tower. Huey, Frenchie. Oh, they're in a storage room that security doesn't monitor because it's full of discontinued merchandise. Action figures of supes who died or got cancelled. The irony is suffocating. Butcher hired him. Says without preamble, hired the alien. 5 million to kill Homelander. Starlight's face goes through several emotions before settling on exhausted resignation. Of course he did. Because that's what Butcher does. He finds the biggest hammer and swings it at the biggest nail. Huey speaks quietly. Annie, if Lobo kills Homelander, it starts a war. Vought will retaliate, the government will get involved, and everyone gets caught in the crossfire. She knows he's right. She also knows Homelander has killed people, raped people, destroyed lives, and called it heroism. The moral math is complicated. What do you want me to do? She asks. Leans forward. We need to find Lobo first. Talk to him. Maybe we can redirect him. Find a solution that doesn't end with cities burning. Starlight almost laughs. You think he'll negotiate? You saw what he did to us. He doesn't care about solutions. He cares about contracts. Frenchie interjects, accent thick with stress. But perhaps the contract can be modified. Butcher wants Homelander dead. But what if Lobo can accomplish the same goal differently? It's not a bad idea. It's desperate and probably impossible, but not bad. The problem is finding Lobo before he finds Homelander. And something tells Starlight that finding isn't the issue. Surviving the conversation after is. Her phone buzzes. Text from an unknown number. Heard you're looking for me. Warehouse in Red Hook. Come alone or don't come at all. She shows the others. Huey immediately shakes his head. That's a trap. Obviously a trap. agrees. You walk in there, you might not walk out. Starlight stands already decided. Then I guess I'd better make sure my will is updated. She's out the door before they can stop her. Because sometimes being a hero means walking into traps and hoping heroism is contagious. In Washington, D.C., in rooms that don't exist on any schematic, the analyst is briefing people whose names are classified above top secret. On screens behind her, Lobo's combat footage, regeneration analysis, threat assessment projections. He's accepted a contract on Homelander. This will happen within 48 hours. A man in uniform, more stars on his chest than should fit, speaks up. Can we stop it? The analyst doesn't sugarcoat. No. Can we survive it? Maybe. Can we profit from it? She pulls up new slides. Absolutely. The room goes quiet. She continues. Vought has been a problem for 2 decades. Enhanced individuals with zero accountability, operating above law, destabilizing foreign markets. If Lobo removes Homelander, he solves a problem we've been too afraid to address. Another voice. Female. CIA probably. And then we have a bigger problem. An unkillable alien with contract-killing business model. The analyst nods. Yes. But problems we can hire are better than problems we can't control. At least he's predictable. He wants money. He completes contracts. He leaves.
Homelander wants worship, validation, and increasingly shows signs of psychological collapse. The math is cold, cruel, absolutely correct. The vote is unofficial and unanimous. They'll let it happen. Monitor, document, but not intervene. If Lobo kills Homelander, America loses a symbol but gains stability. If Homelander somehow wins, they've identified his limits. Either way, valuable data. The analyst ends the briefing with a warning. Gentlemen, we're witnessing evolutionary pressure in real time. Soups were apex predators because nothing hunted them. Now something does. The question isn't who wins tomorrow. It's what survives after. She disconnects, sits in silence, then makes a call to a number only 6 people have. It's happening. Prepare contingencies. On the other end, which contingencies? She looks at the screens, at Lobo's grin frozen in digital amber. All of them. Back in New York, the city moves through its day pretending normalcy is still possible. People go to work, eat lunch, check phones, but there's tension underneath. Everyone feels it. The pressure before a storm. The moment before impact. You're walking to the warehouse in Red Hook, following an address someone posted on Reddit before the post got deleted. You don't know why you're going. Curiosity, stupidity, the desperate human need to witness history even when history is violent. You arrive to find you're not alone. There's maybe 20 people outside. Journalists, civilians, one guy with a podcast setup. Everyone heard the same rumor. Lobo's here. He's planning something. And if you're going to watch the world change, might as well have good seats. The warehouse door opens. Not slowly, not dramatically, just opens. Lobo stands in the entrance, backlit by fluorescent lighting that makes him look even more like a monster than usual. You're here for the show. His voice carries. Nobody answers. Nobody moves. He grins. Good. Gonna need witnesses. What's about to happen? People gotta see it. Gotta know their heroes bleed the same red as everyone else. He steps aside, gestures into the warehouse. Come on in. Front row to the death of divinity. Some people turn and run. Smart people. You walk inside. Because you stopped being smart the night you kept filming, while gods died. Inside is organized chaos. Weapons you don't recognize. Screens showing Vought Tower from every angle. A countdown timer. 6 hours 47 minutes and 23 seconds. 6 hours until contract fulfillment. Until a god dies. Or tries to. Starlight arrives in an Uber. She'll expense to Vought, knowing they'll reject it out of spite. She walks into the warehouse and Lobo nods like he's greeting an old friend. Sparkles. Wondered if you'd show. She powers up instinctively, hands glowing. I'm here to ask you not to do this. He laughs, actually laughs. You flew here, or drove, whatever, to ask nicely. That's adorable. He goes back to checking weapons. Look, I like you. You got more spine than the rest of your team combined. But I got a contract. And I don't break contracts. Bad for business. Starlight steps closer. $5 million. I'll pay you $6 million not to kill him. Lobo pauses. Considers. For a moment you think it might work. Then he shakes his head. Tempting. But see, this ain't about money anymore. It's about sending a message. Your whole planet thinks soups are special, untouchable. That ends today. He looks at her directly. You can watch or leave, but you can't stop it. Starlight knows he's right, hates that he's right. He's a person, broken, terrible, but a person. Lobo's grin fades.
So were the people he killed. The sun sets over New York like a judge, closing a case file, and the countdown timer in Lobo's warehouse hits 0. You're still there, pressed against the back wall with 24 other witnesses who couldn't look away. Lobo stands in the center of the space, strapping on weapons that look like they were stolen from wars that haven't happened yet. A chain with hooks that hum with energy. A shotgun that breathes. Something that might be a knife, or might be a piece of a dying star. He's not hurrying, not anxious. He's methodical, like a surgeon preparing for an operation he's performed 1,000 times. Starlight is still there too, standing near the door, torn between leaving and staying, between hero and witness. Last chance, she says quietly. Walk away. Choose mercy. Lobo looks at her, and for a moment something almost human crosses his face. Mercy's for people who deserve it. Homelander spent decades taking what he wanted, hurting who he wanted, hiding behind a flag and a smile. Tonight the bill comes due. He checks his bike one final time, the engine purring like a mechanical predator. You coming or staying? The question is directed at everyone. At you, at the journalists, at Starlight, at the guy with the podcast who's somehow still recording. Most people leave. Survival instinct finally winning over curiosity. You stay. Starlight stays. 3 journalists stay. And 1 kid, maybe 19, with a phone and eyes that have seen too much already. All right then. Witness protocol. You film everything. You share everything. You make sure the world sees what happens when corporate gods meet cosmic consequences. Lobo starts the bike, and the sound is a war cry older than this planet. Let's go kill a hero. He tears out of the warehouse, and the few of you who stayed follow in cars that suddenly feel very fragile. The route to Vault Tower is 12 minutes at normal speed. Lobo makes it in 4. You're 3 blocks behind, watching his taillight cut through traffic like a bullet through paper. People dive out of the way. Cars swerve. Nobody stops him. Nobody can. Vault Tower stands against the night sky, lit up like a monument to hubris and market caps. Every floor is active, buzzing with crisis management and denial. In the security center, alarms are screaming. On monitors, a motorcycle approaching at impossible speed. The head of security, a former Navy SEAL, who's seen combat in 3 countries, watches and knows his resume means nothing. Tonight, all units, initiate lockdown. Close all. He doesn't finish. Lobo's bike hits the main entrance doing 80. The reinforced glass, rated to stop truck bombs and anti-tank weapons, explodes inward like it was never there. The bike continues through the lobby, up the emergency stairwell that isn't built for vehicles, crashing through security doors like they're decorative paper. Sparks, smoke, the screech of metal that wasn't meant to bend. Vault employees scatter, some filming, some praying, most just frozen in disbelief that their fortress could be breached this easily, this casually, this inevitably. On the penthouse level, Homelander hears the alarms and knows, just knows, this isn't a drill, isn't a test. The thing he's been dreading for 2 days is here. He could run, fly out the window, disappear into the sky, hide in some corner of the world where contracts can't reach. But that would mean admitting defeat, admitting he's not what he pretended to be, and his ego, that perfect manufactured in.
Homelander's heat vision fires instantly. No warning. Oh, no speech. Just pure, concentrated solar energy, trying to burn through the thing that humiliated him. Lobo doesn't dodge, doesn't block, just walks through it, the beams parting around him like water around stone. His jacket smokes. His skin bubbles and regenerates. And he keeps walking. Homelander pours everything into it. Eyes burning brighter than they ever have. Face twisted with effort and desperation. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Lobo reaches him, grabs his face, shuts his eyes manually. The punch lifts Homelander off his feet and sends him through 3 interior walls before he stops. Lobo follows, methodical, no rush. This isn't a fight, it's a hunt that's reaching its conclusion. Homelander struggles to his feet, spitting blood and teeth that'll regenerate, but right now just hurt. You can't kill me. I'm a product that got too expensive. Lobo grabs him by the cape. I've killed gods. Cape, real ones. You're just a lab experiment with good PR. The beating that follows is systematic, professional. Lobo doesn't waste movement. Every hit is calculated for maximum damage and minimum effort. Homelander fights back, super strength and combat training, and desperate survival instinct. He lands hits that would have killed anyone else. Lobo just regenerates and continues. It's not David versus Goliath. It's Goliath versus something older and meaner that ate David for breakfast and used his sling as a toothpick. They crash through floors, the penthouse collapsing into the executive level below. Vought employees scatter, some trapped, most escaping. You arrive in the lobby with Starlight and the other witnesses, and security doesn't even try to stop you. Everyone's watching the screens, watching their symbol get systematically destroyed, watching the myth die in real time, broadcast on every camera in the building. Starlight's hands are glowing, but she doesn't move, because what would she do? Join the fight, save Homelander. The man who's made her life hell for years, the rapist, the murderer, the corporate mascot pretending to be a hero. Mem's voice crackles through her earpiece. Annie, get out of there. Building's not stable. She doesn't respond. Can't look away. On the screens, Lobo has Homelander by the throat, holding him up like a trophy. You wanted to be worshipped. You wanted everyone to think you're special. He slams him down, and the floor cracks in geometric patterns. You're not special, you're just strong. And strong ain't enough when you meet something stronger. Homelander's eyes flicker red, weak, dying. Please. The word is broken. Human. Real. Lobo pauses. For just a moment, you think he might show mercy. Then he shakes his head. You used that word before, when people begged you to stop. Homelander doesn't answer, can't answer. That's what I thought. The final blow is almost gentle. Lobo's fist goes through Homelander's chest. Not fast, not explosive, just inevitable. Closes around his heart. The symbol's eyes go wide, not with pain, with understanding. This is how it ends. Not in glory, not in battle, just business. Lobo pulls his hand back, in his grip. Homelander's heart, still beating, enhanced biology, refusing to accept death even when death is obvious. The body slumps, falls. The greatest hero in America, reduced to meat and broken mythology. Lobo holds the heart up to the nearest camera. Contract fulfilled. Anyone else needs someone, humbled, killed, or reminded they're mortal. You know where to find me. He drops the heart. It bounces, stops beating. And somewhere in America, in homes and bars and offices, people watching live streams go silent. Some cheer, some cry. Most just stare, trying to process what they witnessed. The god is dead. The hero was never real. And the monster who killed him is walking out the front door of Vought Tower, like he just completed a delivery. Security doesn't stop him. Nobody stops him. You film him walking past, and he nods at you. Good work, camera guy. Make sure everyone sees. Then he's gone. Motorcycle engine fading into the New York night, leaving behind a tower full of people processing their own irrelevance. Starlight stands in the lobby, staring at the screens showing Homelander's body cooling in his own penthouse-turned-tomb. Huey arrives, frantic. "Annie, we need to leave. Now. This place is going to..." She cuts him off. He's dead. Homelander's dead. Huey stops, processes. Good. It comes out as a question. She doesn't know how to answer. Homelander was a monster, but he was also a person. Broken and terrible, and created by the same company that created her. If monsters deserve death, who decides which monsters? Who draws the line? Her phone buzzes. Text from Butcher. Job done. World's better for it. She wants to argue, wants to say there was another way, but standing in the wreckage of Vought Tower, surrounded by employees who sold dreams and delivered nightmares, she can't find the words. Maybe there wasn't another way. Maybe sometimes monsters need bigger monsters. Maybe justice isn't pretty, or fair or comfortable. Maybe it just is. She powers down her hands, takes Huey's hand. Let's go home. They leave as sirens approach, as news helicopters circle, as the world adjusts to a reality where gods can die, and contracts can kill, and nothing is sacred except what survives. In the warehouse in Red Hook, Lobo is cleaning Homelander's blood off his knuckles with a rag that used to be white. The contract payment has already cleared. 5 million transferred from accounts that don't officially exist. He's got 17 new contract requests. 3 are for other soups. 5 are for CEOs. 2 are for politicians. The rest are classified. Business is booming. He lights a cigar, tastes victory and sulfur, and considers his options. Stay and clean up Earth's corporate god problem. Leave and find a planet with better beer. He hasn't decided. The device chirps. New message. From someone calling themselves the Analyst. The message is simple. Well done. We should talk about future employment opportunities. Your choice of compensation. Lobo reads it twice. Grins. These humans learn quick. He types back. Listening. Because the thing about being the biggest monster in the room is eventually everyone realizes negotiation is cheaper than opposition. Earth is learning. Painfully. Expensively. But learning. And Lobo. He's just getting started. The mainman has arrived. The contracts are open. And the age of corporate gods just ended, with a fist through a heart and a lesson in cosmic consequences. Welcome to the new world. It's honest, it's violent, it's fair, and fairness, it turns out, is the most terrifying thing of all. Morning comes to New York, like a witness afraid to testify. The sun rises over Vought Tower, and the hole in the side looks like a wound that won't close. Emergency crews have been working all night, pulling bodies from rubble, documenting damage, trying to calculate a price for what happened. They can't. Some costs don't fit on spreadsheets. You haven't left the area. Neither have the other witnesses. You're sitting on a concrete barrier, 3 blocks away. Phone dead, camera destroyed. But the footage is already uploaded, already viral. Already being analyzed by every news organization and government agency on the planet. The death of Homelander is the only thing anyone's talking about. Not the war in Yemen, not the election, not the climate, or the economy, or anything else. Just this. A god died, and everyone watched. The kid who stayed, 19 with a phone, sits next to you. You think they'll arrest him. You don't know who they is anymore. For what?
completing a contract. The legal question is fascinating and horrible. Lobo killed someone. That's murder. Except Homelander wasn't exactly human anymore. Legally classified as enhanced, which has different protections. And the killing was contracted, paid for, a business transaction. Does that make it assassination, execution, pest control? The lawyers are going to make fortunes arguing semantics while the body gets cold. On television screens visible through coffee shop windows, talking heads are screaming at each other. Half are calling Lobo a terrorist, half are calling him a necessary evil. A few are calling him a hero, which is the kind of moral flexibility that explains how Homelander lasted so long. You're not sure what he is. Monster, definitely. Killer, absolutely. But also honest, transparent. He said he'd kill Homelander for money. He killed Homelander for money. No speeches, no justifications, just transaction and consequence. There's something almost refreshing about violence that doesn't pretend to be justice. Inside Vought Tower, what's left of the executive board is holding an emergency meeting in a conference room that smells like fear and expensive cologne. Stan Edgar is absent. Rumor says he fled to Singapore, or the Bahamas, or anywhere extradition treaties are suggestions. Ashley is running the meeting, which is like asking the Titanic's cruise director to fix the iceberg. Homelander is dead. The Seven are functionally dissolved. Our stock is in free fall. Someone give me solutions that don't involve prayer or suicide. Silence. Then a junior executive, maybe 28, who's about to either get promoted or fired, speaks up. What if we hire him? Every head turns. Ashley's eye twitches. Hire the thing that murdered our primary asset. The junior executive nods, surprisingly calm for someone suggesting they employ their own destroyer. He's a contractor. He responds to market forces. Right now, he's freelance and unpredictable. But if we offer him exclusivity, guarantee him income, we control the weapon instead of fearing it. The idea is insane. Also brilliant. Also possibly their only option. Another executive, older finance background, runs numbers on his tablet. Annual retainer of 50 million. Exclusive contract. Non-compete clause. We'd essentially be paying protection money with benefits. Ashley laughs. It's the laugh of someone who's watched their career die and is now just seeing how the corpse decomposes. And when he gets bored, when he decides our contract isn't worth honoring, what then? Nobody has an answer, because you can't fire someone who regenerates from a single cell and considers gods to be medium difficulty opponents. The meeting ends with no decisions, just the slow realization that Vought, the company that created superheroes, that built an empire on enhanced humans, has been obsoleted by something they can't buy, control, or kill. Their entire business model just became irrelevant. And irrelevance, in capitalism, is the only unforgivable sin. Outside, the protests have evolved again, not against soups anymore, against Vought, against the system that created false gods and sold them as saviors. In Washington, D.C., the analyst is briefing a different room of people whose names don't exist. On the screens, aftermath footage, casualty reports, global response analysis. Homelander's death has created a power vacuum. 17 countries have already reached out, asking if we
can contract Lobo for their own soup problems. The general from before leans forward. Can we? The analyst pulls up files. Maybe, he responds to payment. but he's also unpredictable. 3 hours after killing Homelander, he completed a contract on a senator, murdered him in his office, left a note saying contract fulfilled. The senator was on our payroll. The room goes cold. He's not discriminating.
Republican, Democrat, corporate, government, he'll kill anyone if the price is right. We're not hiring a weapon. We're unleashing controlled chaos and hoping chaos stays controlled. Another voice. What are our options? The analyst displays a single slide, 3 words. Negotiate, adapt, survive. That's it. No military solution, no containment protocol, just acceptance that the food chain has a new apex and humanity just got demoted. Across town, Butcher is celebrating in the only way he knows how, alcohol and vindictive satisfaction. The bar is mostly empty, just him and the boys, and they're processing their victory with the joy of people who won but don't know what they won. He's dead. That bastard's actually dead. Butcher pours another round. Years I've been trying, and some alien does it in one night. Mum isn't celebrating. We unleashed something. Butcher, something we can't put back in the box. Butcher waves him off. Don't need to put it back. Just need to point it at the next problem. But MM's right, and Butcher knows it. Lobo isn't a weapon. Weapons have safety mechanisms. Weapons can be unloaded. Lobo is entropy with a contract system, and entropy doesn't care whose side it's on. Frenchie is watching television, where footage of Homelander's death is playing on loop. They are calling him a hero, the main man. People are making murals, Kimiko signs. Frenchie translates. She says they're trading one false god for a real monster. She says we've made a mistake. Butcher doesn't want to hear it, can't hear it, because if this was a mistake, if hiring Lobo was wrong, then what was the alternative? Let Homelander keep killing, keep raping, keep destroying lives behind a flag and a smile. Sometimes the only solution to a monster is a bigger monster. Sometimes justice isn't clean or comfortable. Sometimes it's just necessary. His phone rings, unknown number. He almost doesn't answer, then does. Yeah, the voice is familiar. Lobo, British. Contracts complete. Money's received. But I'm thinking, you got more names on your list. Butcher sits up straighter. Maybe. Why? A pause. Then because I'm bored. And your planet's got a lot of people who need killing. Send me the list. I'll give you a bulk rate. The line goes dead. Butcher stares at his phone. Mum is watching him. Don't. Whatever you're thinking. Don't. But Butcher's already pulling up files. A train. Who killed his girlfriend? Tech Knight. Who covered it up? Stan Edgar. Who built the machine? The Deep. Just because. He's making a list. Checking it twice. Finding out who's naughty. And giving their addresses to a cosmic hitman. Mum stands. I'm out. I'm done. This isn't justice, Butcher. This is genocide with invoices. He leaves. Frenchie follows, shaking his head. Kimiko stays just long enough to sign one more message. Monsters don't stop. They just find new targets. Then she's gone too. Butcher sits alone in the bar, list growing, and tells himself this is right. This is necessary. This is what heroes, real heroes, have to do when the system is rotten from the foundation. He's lying to himself. He knows it, does it anyway, because stopping now means Hughie's girlfriend died for nothing, means Becca died for nothing, means every person Vought destroyed was just collateral damage in a system that never faced consequences. At least now, there are consequences. Brutal, expensive, final, but consequences. Outside, the city is adjusting to its new reality. Soups are keeping lower profiles. Vought employees are updating resumes, and somewhere a cosmic bounty hunter is reading contract requests and grinning.
In a church in Brooklyn, the kind that serves breakfast to the homeless and doesn't ask about sins. Starlight sits in the back pew, still in her costume, still trying to process what she witnessed. A priest, old and kind, sits beside her, doesn't ask questions, just sits. Finally she speaks. I watched a man die, a terrible man, and I did nothing. The priest considers this. Did you want to save him? She thinks about Homelander, the threats, the assaults, the casual cruelty disguised as leadership. No, I wanted him dead too. Does that make me as bad as the thing that killed him? The priest doesn't answer immediately. The question isn't whether you wanted justice. The question is whether what happened was justice or revenge, and I don't know if anyone can answer that, except you. Starlight sits with that. Justice or revenge? Is there a difference when the person deserved both? When the punishment fit the crimes but came from something monstrous? She doesn't have answers, just the memory of Lobo pulling out Homelander's heart, and the terrible relief she felt. You're walking home finally, feet aching, mind numb. The footage you uploaded has 60 million views. Someone identified you. Camera guy, who witnessed everything. You're getting interview requests from CNN, Fox, BBC, Al Jazeera. Everyone wants your story. What it was like to watch gods die. How it felt to stand in the presence of something beyond category. You ignore them. Some stories are too big to tell properly. Some truths don't fit in 7-minute segments with commercial breaks. Your phone buzzes. Another message. Same number that sold Lobo's location days ago. Want to know what happens next? $1,000. You stare at it, then delete it. You don't need to know what happens next. You saw enough, witnessed enough, documented enough. Let someone else watch the next chapter. Let someone else film entropy doing business. You're done being a witness, done being camera guy. You're going home to sleep for 3 days and try to remember what normalcy felt like before cosmic bounty hunters monetized divine murder. The sun climbs higher, the city moves, and history continues writing itself in blood and contracts, and the slow realization that power isn't special, it's just expensive, and everything expensive eventually finds a buyer.